trying to warp your perception of technology through Hollywood.
They're back.
Look out for Charlie.
I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head.
Okay, before I get into this video, somebody said on my last video, you need to ignore the shitheads or ignore these people that say things that are ridiculous, and I say absolutely not to that. When somebody says something ridiculous, I'm going to prop it up, and then I'm going to show how ridiculous it is so that people can really see that. And then we can ignore them. And then people will know, wow, that's bullshit, and I've seen why and how it's bullshit. So, some anomalies I want to show you from this fire before we get into the really, really weird shit. I'm going to show you something really crazy. But in the meantime, let me show you something really crazy here. There's a car in front of the house that is ash. The car is basically untouched except for the hood, like the grill area.
Yeah.
But this car is completely and totally melted out. But this car is perfectly normal, right? Right there, just the grill is messed up, and it looks like the headlight is blown out. But one more thing I want to show you real quick before we move on. I mean, it should be obvious to people that nothing is burned around these houses, just the houses are burned, right? The houses and the vehicles. Very weird, but there's something very obvious up ahead here in this video. Here it is. You've got this house right here, right? And you've got all these cars in the driveway that are cooked. That's a Honda. Then you have these other vehicles that are completely cooked out. Cooked, melted out.
I think that was a convertible Mercedes.
Right? Now, watch what happens here. This guy is going to walk next door. Just a driveway over, and it's literally 8 to 10 feet from those vehicles. Right here.
And then next.
Boom. Everything's fine. That is literally 10 feet from those other vehicles. They're all cooked out. There's another trash can, and everything is fine. Like, it's almost an impossibility. And what separates those two things, those two pieces of property? Bushes. Nothing but flammable bushes. Let's see it again. All these cars, just cooked out. There's bushes there that separate it. Flammable bushes.
Convertible Mercedes. Maybe not. Bunch of old.
And then right there, he looks over, and boom, everything's fine. So we need to go through these homes that have burned, and we need to ask questions. We need the addresses of the burned homes. Someone needs to find out, how many of these burned homes have been paid off, and how many still have mortgages on them. And I'm guessing, this is just a guess, but I'm guessing that you're going to find that a lot of the homes which have been paid off miraculously burned. I was discussing this with people about what happened in North Carolina, the same thing. They don't want property passed down to families. They don't want that to keep happening. It's generating no revenue for them except for property taxes. They want everything in a constant state of debt. So, how many of these houses had insurance and how many didn't? These are all questions that are very, very important. And I think I have an idea of how this is happening from house to house. And I will explain that in another video. But this, the line in the sand, which has happened in the past with these fires, is just ridiculous. It's like a literal line in the sand that stops the fire from moving around. Bushes, shrubbery, shrubs. It's insanity. And so many people are covering these fire anomalies that I want to focus on more heavy anomalies because it's almost going mainstream now. And I found something that you need to see and hear while researching the 1991 Oakland Hills firestorm. Now, I've researched this fire a lot, but I was re-researching and I found something within these videos that is absolutely mind-blowing. Before we get into this, I need to take you back to the Eugene signal that happened in Oregon a long time ago. But this is right up the road, technically, from the Oakland Hills fires. As far as these signals go, it's right up the road. So let me take you back to this just for a second and show you kind of what was going on with that. I'm going to play this old video that I put out a couple years ago. In 1978, they found a signal. It was on the ground, in the homes, and up to 3,000 feet above the city. What was that signal doing? It was affecting people in their homes. When they would leave certain homes, the symptoms would go away. When they would enter the home, it would come back. Some people had symptoms outside the home, but it was mainly in the home. It came on very, very much like the hum. And a man named Walter Toposky, he reported vibrations in his home, insomnia, burning of his cornea, voices, hearing voices talking around his house, and over 150 other people complained of the exact same symptoms. Headaches, insomnia, coordination problems, ear and throat problems, and more. So a guy named Van Aert came in and he studied Toposky's home. When he was in there, he also noticed the signal and he began to get the same symptoms as Toposky. Then eventually Van Aert also noticed the signal in his own home, which he described as a high-pitched and barely audible sound with stuffiness in both ears and reddening of his skin. This was the beta test of what is going on today. And all kinds of these tests were done on the West Coast back then, before this went national and then ultimately global. But again, I showed you that because it's essentially just up the road as far as these signal broadcasts are concerned, right? So I was skimming through some Oakland Hills fire footage from 1991. Just random fire footage. Like this, same kind of stuff, but one stuck out. And I want to show you that. It's very important. For those of you who don't know, let me explain. I have a whole channel full of this information. And I have found through all these experiments, tests, and working with this audio and working with audio samples like the one that I have here that I'm going to show you, that this audio is in the environment and it auto gains on noise. It really doesn't like fast staccato type noises like hammering or firecrackers because it will jump up and then it takes a second or two for it to go back down to ambient level. And it can be caught very easily like that as it tries to, simmer back down to ambient noise level. So it works best with noise that is consistent, like the sound of an engine running, road noise, a vacuum cleaner running, blenders, white noise, pink noise, water running, anything like that. It will auto gain in an attempt to overlay itself over the noise, which is also a clever way of monitoring noise decibels, right? Which no one really thinks about. That is where the surveillance angle comes in. But I'll stay away from that in this video and I will focus on the noise example that I have here, which is fire. In the past, we have caught this audio using the same techniques. For example, a gas stove or a torch hitting a metal pan with a little water in it. It will amplify and auto gain itself to the level of just barely audible. Now, people with good ears can pick this out right away. Unfortunately, you also have people who are sensitized to hear this and hear it everywhere they go. This type of audio isn't quote-unquote in their head, as psychologists like to allude to. Rather, it sounds as though it is coming from objects or from somewhere else. For example, a wall, a car, a lawnmower running, in a building, outside their home, etc. And sometimes people who don't pick this up 24/7 catch pieces of this in their day-to-day lives. They may hear this while they are lying in bed in the middle of the night, when everything is dead quiet or whatever. They may believe that someone is outside their home or someone is inside their home, or just hear talking, right? This is not paranormal. This is not a ghost or a goblin. This is a signal, like a broadcast, and it does screw up. And I have dozens of examples of this system screwing up in a major way, clearly and obviously showing itself to be technology, man-made technology. Why do you think these paranormal shows and other ideas are promoted so heavily? So let's check out this clip I found from the 1991 fires, recorded with some kind of old analog recorder, and I will make this clearly audible in just a bit, but I want to show you this first, the original one. And for those of you with good ears, you can hear a female-ish voice talking, and the voice swells exactly when the noise of the fire swells. The female voice is totally familiar, because coincidentally it is the same femalish sounding voice that I have picked up in modern recordings over and over in the 21st century. And again, the volume of this voice swells with the sound of the fire. It is auto-gaining, completely auto-gaining, just as I have described in the past. And this was 1991 in California. The rest of the fire videos from this incident in Oakland Hills do not have this, at least not as loud and not audible. For whatever reasons, the conditions were right, perfect, for this to be accidentally recorded loudly. And again, if you can't hear this in the first time around, I'm going to make it totally and completely audible. But this is the original clip, and I want to show you exactly how loud these voices were in the original. Now again, this is just some old analog camcorder recording, and you are going to hear a female voice just barely audible following the fire. Right there. Right there. You can hear a male and a female there. These are not people talking over the fire. These voices are auto-gaining on the fire. I'm going to show you that. These are not normal, quote-unquote, normal voices. The inflection is strange. They cut out when the sound of the fire dips down, but they are not normal voices by any stretch of the imagination. And if you can listen closely, it sounds like a female voice with a male voice saying the exact same things at the exact same time behind it, like a doubler. Exactly how a doubler effect would work, but a male with a female louder. It's very, very strange. Let's get right into the audio instead of playing this over and over. Now, I have found over the years that it's easier for people to hear when they can't see what's going on. So let's just focus on the audio. This is the original audio from the fire before I started working on it. You can hear voices in the fire, and when the fire dips down, the voices go away. Now let's go back to the fire. Now here's another one. It almost sounds like somebody says hello there, but it's something else. I'm going to show you that. This is absolutely crazy. It's going to blow your mind. And it sounds like it says there. It sounds like it says future there. But that sounds like a male voice almost until we boost it up. And then the last part here. Let's check out audio where I boosted the voices up. Now here is the voice boosted up the first time before I got it really loud. Check this out. That is not a normal voice. It vanishes with the swelling of the fire's sound. It almost sounds like it says victory is in the womb. It doesn't, but it's just that weird inflection. And then here's that section where you could hear it almost sound like it said hello. It says they all need to. Then there's that future part, boosted up. So I'll play this part. And then it says at the end, right here, let's zoom in on that, walk away. Walk away. Very, very, very weird. But I got it louder. Here is the louder version, 1991. Doesn't surprise me that it was happening in California though, but it was picking up and it was auto-gaining on the sound of the fire. They all need to. It is so weird. It is not normal. This is not somebody talking. It is following the fire. Anybody who says otherwise is lying, or they are ignoring the circumstances of the recording. You can go through this channel and find a million different examples of this type of audio getting picked up accidentally or intentionally finding it, like what I do with the SWAT rat. Let's check out where it says walk away. Walk away. Let's slow that down. Okay, here it is slowed down. This is the first time I've slowed down any of this. It says walk away. Very, very crazy to pick up. 1991. And you can hear it in the original if you have good ears and listen. Download this video and play it with headphones or good speakers, and you will be able to hear it. If you're listening with a phone, you're listening with the wrong thing anyway. You need to have the right equipment to be listening to audio, especially like this kind of audio. Let's go back to the original. This is the original clip. And you can hear that. They all need to. 1991. They all need to. Now here it is adjusted. Now imagine somebody is going through something traumatic and they can hear voices coming from the fire. That has happened before. They hear voices coming from the fire and go running in, right? And it's really happening because of this. It's not real, and they believe something or someone is in the fire and burning. This is totally and completely technology, and it gets picked up and auto-gained by noise. I've proven that over and over on this channel. Let's listen to the loud version one more time. Very, very strange. 1991. And you had the Eugene signal going on up the road, 12, 13 years before that. Just bizarre that this was picked up this loudly. So yeah, if somebody goes darting into a building because they heard something, we don't know if it's really there or not. You can't trust your senses completely anymore because there is bullshit technology like this being deployed everywhere. And this was back in 1991, man. That was 34 years ago. 34 years ago, these type of shenanigans were going on. Just mind-blowing. And this should make you think too. Like when these people hear somebody say help out in the forest, all that bullshit. You don't know if the wind is blowing, the leaves are rustling, and that is being kicked up by the sound when it's absolutely 100% there. Even if you couldn't hear it in the first one, in the original, it's impossible to say that you don't hear it once I've boosted it up. Impossible. And again, the volume goes down when the swelling of the fire goes down. You don't hear it here. And you don't hear it here. But once that fire kicks up again, so in the Oakland Hills area in 1991, for certain, this was being deployed back then in this area. And it was certainly being used in Eugene, Oregon in 1978. It was probably just a tweaked version that was being used in Oakland Hills later. To prove my point, here is a case that I worked on. I picked this audio up in a couple's room. The woman was having bad dreams, and it was just negative stuff. I was picking up negative stuff all the time. Here is one voice example of that. And it says,
I fucked your husband.
I fucked your husband.
I fucked your husband.
Now, if we go back, the voices are very, very similar. That same weird inflection. Check this out. Same kind of weirdly inflected voice.
I fucked your husband. I fucked your husband.
So, when you're catching the same thing in 2024 that was caught in a fire video from 1991, it is pretty compelling evidence that something is going on.
You've been on a plane and find yourself looking down at the armrest next to you, looking at the little plug where the ashtray used to go. I look at that and I say, what the hell happened to this country?
Nanny State. I see a kid with a bicycle helmet on. I'm gonna smack the shit out of him, like for his own good.
Look out for Charlie.